And we are live. What's up, guys? It's Ruben here on Dubb's podcast, Connection Loop. I have Owen Video with me. Is Video your real last name? Did you change your name? I'm going to ask you questions like that. But we're
Yeah.
also going to get into YouTube marketing for business and how we create, how we promote, how we distribute the whole gamut. So let's get into this. You obviously have some expertise. You're in a studio here. You've got the gear, you've got the branding. Talk to us, Owen.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, my original last name is not Owen Video. In fact, they changed our family name like so many Americans when we came across the border. My great grandfather, Owen Newspaper, had it had it changed at Ellis Island. So that's
Okay,
that's the big joke. No,
got it.
see, what happened was I actually was honored to be recognized as California's Entrepreneur of the Year. This was like 3 years ago, 4 years ago, and I was recognized as Entrepreneur of the Year in the state of California, which I didn't even know liked entrepreneurs. So that's really interesting.
Mm.
And when I went to go get my award, they just butchered my last name. So this guy is like trying to, it's like, Owen, and it was like, here's my big moment. It's my big moment. I flew my best friend in from to Sacramento, and we're there, we're looking sharp, and I'm in the back of the room, and I'm ready to make my entrance, and he butchers my last name, and then brings up another guy to
Oh,
butcher my last name. And so I just kind of walked up.
it was a
I was,
slaughter.
yeah, it was brutal. And so that's when I picked up a heavy drinking habit. No, I'm
Okay.
kidding. I'm kidding. I don't. I'm half trying to make my team laugh in here. But that's when I decided that I would change my last name. I would make it easier. And I've been making videos since I was 8 years old, and so
Mm.
Own Video seemed like the right way to go.
I'm in, man. I'm sold. So that's awesome. So you're obviously doing this a lot more than many of us.
Yeah.
Um, it's an enigma. The algorithms are changing constantly. What works on YouTube? What's the length? Do we do 10-minute videos? Do we do 2-minute videos? Do we go weekly? Do we go daily? There's so many questions that people have. I explore this topic a lot. I've been personally creating videos for probably maybe 25 years now, and I had the kind of unique opportunity to go to a film school, a really short kind of 6-month program, and kind of learn some chops. And that was about 10 years ago, and I realized everything I learned was kind of irrelevant. I had to
Yeah.
sort of relearn everything every single year.
Right.
And now I have this great team that supports the initiative and the staff and the whole kind of effort. But give us the breakdown. Like, let's start with creation. Like, what can you recommend from a creation perspective? What's our
Well, I
voice? What's
think
our brand?
Yeah, I mean, I think it depends on what your goals are. You
Yeah,
know what I mean? YouTube is a platform that will make you into the celebrity of your industry, right?
overnight.
Like what it did Grant Cardone for, real estate.
Yeah,
What it did, Dan Locke for business owners and
yeah.
entrepreneurs, and even
Mm,
PewDiePie for gamers.
right.
YouTube will
Well,
make
he's
you.
isn't he the number one or two YouTuber right now?
Yeah, I think number one is T Series right
Yeah,
now, and
from
this
India.
changes a
Yeah.
lot, But even Joe Rogan, who is somebody that I really look up to and admire as a broadcaster, is the fifth most watched YouTube channel out there right
Mm,
now, and
wow.
he kind of goes back and forth with some other channels, but these
And
are
that
major.
probably has a lot to do with the fact that he's got hour-long, sometimes 3-hour-long streams on
Yeah, I
there,
mean,
right?
3 hour long programs
Yeah.
sometime. But here's the thing is that any one of us, you and I could easily go 3 hours, but are people watching us for the
Mm,
entire 3 hours? I mean,
right.
even if somebody watches you for 1 hour of a 3 hour presentation, that's something that you have to really ask yourself, do you have the chops for that? And do you want industry celebrity? Right? If you're in this place where you're sort of a local business owner, and you want to generate leads from YouTube, right? And if you don't get leads today, your business is going to starve. Well, I'm not sure that YouTube would be the best choice for you right now. Okay?
Yeah,
Because YouTube is a platform designed to sort of weed out the I need to get business today people, right?
right.
I think that's where Facebook Live comes in, and I think that's where maybe some direct sales sort of comes in and postcard
Right.
advertising and some of those old world models. But YouTube is a place where if you want to dominate your industry and be recognized as the authoritative lawyer, real estate agent, doctor, dentist, business owner, contractor, if you want to dominate your space and you're willing to give it, 6 months, a year to really learn the platform, then you will establish a celebrity and a prominence there that will be very, very hard to compete with.
Well said, man. I always say like sales overnight, branding over time. You
Yeah,
have to
good.
figure out a way to have this parallel track where you're creating this library of evergreen content. What is the Google homepage going to look like in 5 years? It's
Yeah, well,
probably
I
going to
think
look similar to the YouTube homepage.
Yeah, I think that it may or may not, I think that we have to consider sort of like the American demographics, right? Like buying power is still largely in the hands of the boomers, right? And so, but not all boomers, it's the fastest growing segment on YouTube. But, when you ask a boomer about YouTube, you kind of get this like, cat videos and grab assing videos, they're not necessarily get it. So I think the homepage of Google is going to evolve over time. Like right now, if you go to Google and you type in, any given thing, you're going to see, first of all, you're going to see Google shopping results because Google wants you spending money. And then underneath that, you're going to see maybe like a snippet or a rich text. Sometimes you'll see like a video, but it will say, hey, you only need to watch this first 5 seconds of the video to get your answer, right? Because it's reading the captions in the video and telling you, what segments you need to watch. And then underneath that, you might see like a long, like 4 or 5 videos. And underneath that, you'll see sort of like the blog and the written word answers, because there's a lot of different personality types out there. I do think that what we'll see is that people that want a video answer will go directly to YouTube.
Right.
And will search for that answer. But here's the thing. If you're making video content designed for search, right, you're going to lose the YouTube game.
And why would you say that is? Because as I understand it, YouTube is now the second largest search engine, of course, next to Google. YouTube, the algorithm scans the dialogue. Right now this is live streaming on YouTube. Our dialogue will eventually be scanned, and that's going to be associated with SEO. The title has a lot to do with it. When you search for video marketing or how to do X, Y, and Z, YouTube videos are actually often the first results, at least within like that top snippet. So talk to me about that.
Right. So as long as people are searching for, local dentist in Cincinnati, then your buy from me video will do just fine. The reality is there's like 4 people doing that, right?
Okay,
Even
so you're talking about a long tail situation, but if you're going for macro big words with huge amounts of traffic, it's yeah, that makes sense.
Well, even with huge amounts of traffic, I mean, it really depends on what you're looking for. See, all the gurus out there, my colleagues, people I really love and respect, right? Like these guys are all kind of teaching in their courses SEO keywords. But think about this for a second, okay? You're a real estate agent and you're trying to like establish your dominance out there. You're not going to become the number one name in your field by creating a video like how to buy a house or how to negotiate a house, right? That you're not teaching people how to do that. And you got to think about the psychology of the viewer, right? The psychology of the searcher is going like, all right, how to put a bathroom sink in my house, right? So this is what I did in my house last year, how to put a bathroom sink in my house. So what I'm doing is I'm going through this video and I'm skipping through it, right? It's like a 10, 15-minute video. And I'm skipping. I'm like, I already know how to do that. And I go to this meet. I need that. So I keep it there at that one little 30-second spot, like how to, this thing and that thing and where to put the tape. I watch the video and I X out. I'm done. I don't need you anymore. I don't care who made it. I don't care about you, and I don't need to subscribe to you, right? When you build a search engine-based channel, you are becoming what's called a commodity channel or a resource channel. And the searcher only finds you when they need you.
Right.
You are providing them with a quick solution, so they're watching very, very small amounts of your video, and then they're moving on, and they don't care about who you are. You built no connection with them. The trick to YouTube, okay, is to create a show, right? Yeah. Think of that show, NBC's The Prophet, right, with Marcus Lemonis. Have you seen this show?
Yeah.
Right? Do you know the show, Marcus Lemonis, The Prophet? Okay, phenomenal show. I really, really enjoy it, right? Marcus Lemonis doesn't go on this show and say, today I'm going to teach you how to start a brick and mortar business or how to save your business. It's a show and it's entertaining and he's kind of bringing in the drama, and through that process of showing you what he goes through, right, he's also teaching you something that makes you go, man, I can't wait to see the next episode.
Well,
So
yeah, I know. I completely agree with what you're saying. I think the YouTube channel is best when it's episodic, when it's story driven, when it's personality based, when it's engaging, when it's to the point where I need to see Good Mythical Morning is a great example for me. I
yeah,
love watching those guys. They're so
yeah,
entertaining. I learn a little bit of stuff when I watch them, but it's about the experience and it's about the connection, you know? I
right.
completely agree with you. YouTube is an episodic platform.
Yeah, and that's where you've got to be. Now, it's okay to make search engine content, right? Because many of my clients are business leaders, right? And so they want you want to be found for certain search terms, okay? But your goal is to have YouTube recommend your videos to your audience, so that when somebody's watching, maybe they found you from search, but they binge watch you because of your interest-based episodic content, right? And I'm not talking about putting part 1 or part 2 or episode 1 or episode 2. Like, that's not what I would recommend. But by creating content that's intriguing and interesting, and that's the challenge, right? And that when you can figure out that the answer to that question, that's when you start to build a YouTube channel that matters. And it doesn't take, you don't need 1 million subscribers. You don't even need 100,000 subscribers. With a small audience, 5,000 subscribers, and I don't even like that metric. That's a vanity metric. When you're getting watch time, when people are watching you, right? Then you're creating this industry celebrity that nobody else can touch, right? Because your competitors aren't doing this, and they're not going to learn how to do it. They're too busy making sales, right? But if you're in a place where your sales are doing okay, and you know where your next meal is coming from, my advice would be to invest this time into YouTube, develop your industry dominance there, and let that carry you into the future.
Yeah. No, you're right. And here's the deal. It's really hard to make that choice. Why?
Yeah.
Because the investment is a very long-term one.
Yeah.
We made a choice to do exactly what you're talking about a year ago. We started out with a show. We said we're not going to do the how tutorials. We're not going to do the kind of the SEO, really boring videos that just kind of drive that blog post. We're actually going to create a show. And it took us 3 months to actually find our footing, to find our voice, and figure out our vibe. We were screwing around a lot. We went daily. Actually, we still are in a daily flow, and it's really hard. We have a little staff now. It's called the Daily Dubb. Search for us on YouTube. Just type in Dubb in YouTube, you'll find us. But that has been a journey, and we've essentially documented the growth of Dubb, the video communication platform that we've been running now that has 10,000 businesses. We've documented all of our processes, even our mistakes, and that process, I have to tell you, it's done a world for us. Now that it's been a year, though, because back to this long-term investment, it's done a world of difference for us. It's done better than Facebook advertising, better than Google from a branding perspective, but it was a heck of a commitment. And the only way I think we were able to do this was through self-deprecation, through having fun, and through actually breathing, not being desperate, saying, you know what, we're going to wait until we actually get a little bit of a name. And we are still a tiny little baby. We are a tiny baby. So I always think, how can we continue to grow our following? Give us your take on that.
How to grow your following?
Yeah.
Well,
how do we? Yeah.
You got to know who your audience is, right?
Yeah.
And who's going to watch your videos, and your audience is most likely different than your customer, right? And I think one of the biggest mistakes that businesses and brands make on YouTube is trying to make content for their customer, right? Where the customer is number one, they're maybe already a customer, right? And number two is your customer has a life outside of wanting to buy your product. And so at our company, at the Video Marketing School, we teach a process that's very systematic. It's very step-by-step in discovering who your audience is, right? And we often say, your customer is not, people who want to buy X, right? Your customer is people who enjoy videos about X, right? Or whatever the concept is. So, I would say to the real estate agent, right, who's looking for people that want to buy a home or people that want to sell a home. And I love working with real estate agents and mortgage professionals because they are very ambitious people. They're typically good on camera, right? They like to present. And so they do well on YouTube. I mean, just take a look at Grant Cardone, look at Ryan Serhant, right? Like these These are real estate agents that found a voice on YouTube. But when you go onto YouTube and you're like, oh, I'm going to make videos about listing your house, I mean, that's not what people are interested in, right? But if the people that you're, just let's take Orange County, for example, like if you're a real estate agent in Orange County, California, where I went to high school and did college there, then you're probably going to be targeting, an executive, a professional, someone in a white collar field, probably making 200,000 a year. If they have two incomes, it's probably even more. And they have kids, right? They probably have kids in high school, maybe college. And so you got to ask yourself, what are those people watching on YouTube, and how can I fit into that mold, right? How can I, you've got your audience, but then you've got your audience on YouTube. And how do you connect your brand and your voice to what they're watching? That's the key. And mastering that part of the process is what will make the difference in creating watchable content. Knowing who that audience is, knowing what other channels might be serving that audience successfully, you can start to develop a sense of what videos will make sense, what titles will make sense, how long they should be, and how you should deliver that message.
Love that. I think you've been making videos since you were a kid. You are obviously extremely comfortable in the format. A lot of people, they suffer from the following things. Number one, imposter syndrome. Number one, fear of putting themselves on video and being out there.
Yeah.
Someone can be a hyper extrovert, that salesperson, that real estate agent, that mortgage broker. They could be talking it up, going to conferences, being on stages. But the second that you click that little red button and you put them on the spot, some people freeze. They can't do it. And the reason why is because of the unknown. It's this idea of fear potentially. How can people come over this hurdle of feeling like that imposter, of being afraid of being on video?
It's a great question. We deal with imposter syndrome a lot, where, our customers, our clients are very comfortable when they're in a business office and there's a Keurig in the background, sort of a boiler room atmosphere. But the moment you get them alone with the camera and they're looking at that lens, and it's just kind of like, what's going on here? And this is where learning camera strategies makes sense, right? And having tools that are designed to prevent your fears from overcoming you. So we talk about a method called bursting, right? And this takes advantage of the fact that your video will be recorded and then edited, right? And so this idea that you have to spit it all out correctly the first time is a misnomer, right? That's not true at all, right? All you have to do is get it right once, right? What's up, Brian Ortega? Great to see you. You've got to just bring the fire once and get it done and move on to the next. So bursting is this process of having an outline of what you're going to say, right? And we use a process that we call the ROS. It's a run of show, and you sort of are outlining what it is that you're going to say, and you look at what you're going to say, and then you look at the camera and pause and burst it all out as best you can without looking back at your notes, and then you're done and you pause again. And then you look back at your notes again, right? And it's this process of like getting a paragraph out, looking at the next paragraph and getting it out. And you can mess it up 4 or 5 times. Just do it again. You only need to get it right once. And then in the editing room, right? It's so easy, right? You just take the last one that you did, and you add that to the editing line. So I mean, if you've got a remote for your camera, like a thing, then you could literally burst it out when you get it right, stop the camera, right? Burst out the second part, and when you get it right, stop the camera, so on and so forth. You take those files, put them into your editor, and you start from the back, and you just take the last clip, add all those together, and you've got a great looking video.
Well, you know what's so interesting about that though is that you're 100% correct, and that's the right way to do it, because it's all in the edit, right? The story is all in the edit. If you can get to that point where you have an editor and you've got the team and you've got the flow. What I have seen a lot, and this actually has inspired us to build tech to allow people to simply create videos without having to edit, is that a lot of people, they end up with these clips, they end up with these bursts on their hard drive, on their phone, on their webcam, whatever, and it never sees the light of day. It does
Right.
not get edited,
Right.
right? And now you're 100% correct about this, but how can we get ourselves to a point where we transcend the burst? Because I could see from a coaching perspective and a 101 and a 201 perspective that that's the right way to do it.
Yeah.
But you don't need bursting, in
No.
video.
No.
You don't burst. You just start talking. And if you fuck up, then you
Well,
just correct yourself
yeah,
and you make it a joke.
I burst a little bit here and there. You know, we did 30 videos last month for clients, right?
Okay.
So brands will hire me, you know, to be their spokesperson, and we'll
Yeah.
write their videos. And here's content I don't really know, right? It's not internalized. So I am bursting a lot. So I do think of bursting as a professional tool. And I do think that it's kind of like working out. Like when I first started going to the gym, I needed 3 alarms. I needed my Alexa to go off. I needed my phone alarm to go off. And then I needed like my physical alarm clock to go off to get me out of bed. But now I get out of bed before the alarms even go off. And I sort of like to kind of race the clock a little. Like, can I get my tennis shoes on before the alarm clock goes off? So it's the same with performing on camera. Bursting is how you get to first base, right? And then getting to second base, just ask my wife, takes a little bit of wine and some Marvin Gaye. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding, Dave. She says we don't drink red wine. But the point is that it's practice, right? It's like you practice it and you know it. And here's my belief is that you already know your content. If you can just sort of pretend like the camera is a client or an elevator pitch, right? You're stuck in an elevator with 15 people and one of them says, you know, I wish I could find a realtor. You know, you wouldn't ever go, oh my gosh, what am I going to say?
Right.
Oh my gosh, this is my, you know, you're not going to do that. You're going to be like, oh my gosh, I'm a realtor. I can help you. What are your questions? Right. And you're going to be natural because that's you. And if you can think of the camera as like an asset like that, you're going to do fine. But it does take practice to get there. Your first are your worst, you know, so get through the worst videos, just get through them, upload them, deal with that. And move forward, right? It's like if you never upload those first videos, you're never going to have good videos because you're not getting audience feedback. And I'm going to rant for a minute about this, right? Like, it doesn't matter what you think of the video. It doesn't even matter what you think of the content, right? The second biggest mistake that brands and businesses make on YouTube is that they think that it's all about them and their offering. It's not. It's about the audience and what they think. So you might make this video that it's boom, bells and whistles, Hollywood quality, and it's wow, it's amazing. But then you look at your analytics and you recognize that nobody's watching this video or that they're turning off the video at 30 seconds in. You know, the immature or the budding video creator is going to go, I don't care. I'm going to do it my way because I like it. Whereas the mature video creator, the one who really wants to be a leader in the space, is going to go, okay, I need to cut my intro because nobody's watching it, right? And you've got to look at, Mr. B said this, 28 million subscribers. He said, you got to look at all your drop-offs in your video and just eliminate whatever you were doing at that point. So if you do a cutaway of, maybe you start ranting about your coffee. People do this all the time. It's like, okay, today I'm going to talk about this thing and it's amazing. I got my coffee here. I'm drinking my coffee. I love my coffee. Got this coffee mug from my daughter, you know, and you think you're being personal, but then you got to look at your analytics. And it's like, if you lost your audience, you know, then you got to stop going off on these tangents about your coffee mug and stuff because they just don't care, right? So knowing where your audience is not watching and eliminating those things from your video is going to make you a better video creator.
So, sounds like we are in a situation where we can put content out there on the internet and we can get data and feedback in real time.
Yeah.
And then make improvements the next day, the next hour.
Yes.
Why don't more people do that?
Because it's hard.
Why is it hard? You look at a chart, you look at data, and you listen.
Yeah, you know, you and I have grown companies, right? And we have grown companies and built teams, not from doing what we want to do, but responding to the needs of people on our team, responding to the needs of our customers. Even, you know, our target client, who's sort of like the influencer CEO or the star salesperson, right? Like, it wants to be a celebrity in the space more than just a top producer. it's hard because it's all about you, right? You're thinking about my thing, but you've got to develop workflow, okay? And we've broken down the YouTube success model into 4 different major workflows, right? And we call it the process to profit, okay, workflow. And it starts with programming, what videos you're going to make and how you're going to make them. Then it goes into production. What's your production workflow and how do you make it systematic so that it's not like, oh my gosh, stop everything and we got to get the camera out and the microphone on, right? Like I'm in a place where I've got this microphone on right now, but I also have this microphone right next to me. So if we need to, if I have a video idea, I can just pop it on and turn around and shoot, right? It's a workflow. I'm ready to go at any given time. And imagine how powerful that is as a business owner, as an entrepreneur. You're sitting at your desk and at any time you clip your mic on and you just go, right? Very, very helpful. So you've got programming and then production and then promotion. How are you going to share that video with the world? And finally, progress, right? How well did the video do? What was your click-through rate on the thumbnail? And how much watch time did you get? YouTube gives you, hundreds and hundreds of numbers to look at. You got to know which numbers to look at and when in your cycle. Otherwise you're going to make a video that is designed for maybe watch time, but you're going to measure it based on the views and you're going to get frustrated because you're going to go, man, that video didn't get a lot of views. But if you look at the composition of the video, you didn't really make a viral video. You made an in-depth video. And so you should be watching the watch time. And so knowing that process is extremely important. And then following the process makes it a scalable model for your company.
Now, there's been a shift from daily to weekly, and then weekly to daily, and then hourly, and this is such a moving target. What is a frequency? What is a cadence by which we should be publishing to YouTube?
I love that you use the word cadence, right? Because you do want to have a rhythm and a workflow. And I would say that you make the second video when you have the data from the first video, right? And I would get to this place where you are able to predict your results, right? You're able to say, okay, this video is going to get about 30,000 views and it's going to rank on the YouTube search, right? And then it does, or it comes close, right? You got 25,000 views and it's number 2. That's great, right? Make the second video, right? You're ready to go. I think that the big problem, comes where you're starting out and you're sort of like batch producing, which we believe in batch producing, but you have to sort of know what you're doing first. Otherwise, you're gonna make 10 crappy videos, right? And you have no time to adjust to it. So again, we start with programming. And we take a look at, okay, what's our video going to look like? What's it going to feel like? And what are the results, the progress we think we're going to make with this video? And were we right? And then we'll make video number 2. And once you start developing sort of a muscle for that, now you can start to, mass create. And so, are you a daily person? First of all, does that work for you? Then go daily, sure. But I do think there's a point at which you say, I'm going to go daily for 15 days and then I'm going to review my analytics, right? Or if you're going to go weekly for, 4 weeks and then stop and review your analytics, right? So the answer to that question is deeply personal to the company and should be sort of managed according to a hypothesis, right? Where we're going to do this and we hope to get this. Let's see what we do.
Fatigue. A lot of people start, they get going, they record 6 videos, and then they're out. They say, you know what, I can't sustain this. I was in a flow, and then they stop going to the gym, or something happens psychologically, physically, who knows? And then they're out.
Yeah.
How do you overcome that?
Well, okay, so, there's a great book called The War of Art. And in The War of Art, he talks about this invisible, concept of resistance. And whenever you're onto something great, you will experience resistance, right? These are unseen outside forces that cause the oil in your car to need changing. It causes the China dolls on your shelf to need dusting. It causes the you need another cup of water, right? And it's all of these things that are trying to steal your attention because At the end of the day, YouTube is your pathway to greatness. And no pathway to greatness was ever easy. So, first of all, understanding that resistance is a real thing, that when you're onto something great, we'll try to stop you and we'll try to distract you. Number two, then, is understanding how to deal with it, right? And we talk about the win, excuse me, the win, the WIN versus the whirlwind, right? So the win is the YouTube success. The win is the goal. It's the thing that's in front of you right now. That's the thing you want to get to. And the whirlwind, well, this is your daily activity, right? This is the stuff you have to go through every single day. It's customer fulfillment, it's sales, it's taking the kids to school, it's picking the kids up from school, it's walking the dog. You have to work in the whirlwind. There's no escaping it, right? You have to do it. Similarly, you have to get the win. And working harder, longer, faster in the whirlwind will not get you to the win. And this is the biggest misconception that people make is they go, well, I'll get my work done faster. I'll work in the whirlwind longer, and somehow that will make my YouTube channel grow. It's a misnomer. What you have to do, and there's only two ways that you can handle it, right? You either have to stop doing whirlwind work during business hours, and I'm talking about scheduling 2 hours on a Monday, and you do not do whirlwind work. You only focus on YouTube. That's one way. The second way is to work, additional hours after work where you're going to dedicate to the win. And I don't necessarily like to see my clients do that because YouTube should not be getting your leftovers, right? We have clients that'll tell us, hey, I'll meet with you like after, we'll do our launch call after work. And I'm like, I don't want to do that, man. I don't want to get your most tired, your most hungry, and your most sort of ready to quit the day attitude. I want to get you when you're fresh and active. So take whatever you're doing next Wednesday morning and cancel it, reschedule it, right? And give me your best, because the goal is going to get hit. The win, YouTube, is going to get hit when you give it your best. And so knowing there's resistance, understanding that there are two opposing forces, and making time in your schedule to actually work on the goal is what's going to get you there.
Love that. Love that. Thanks for sharing that. Xavier Smith, I went daily for 30 days to see if I could figure something out myself. It must be about the long game. So here's my take on that. Always have one person in mind when you're creating a piece of content. Whether it's a video or a blog post, it doesn't matter, even a social post, just have one person in mind. And if you're sales focused, if you're running a business, if you're driving a pipeline and you need to drive revenue, which of course we all do, directly or indirectly, use that asset that you've created for that one person. Let's say that you have a prospect that's looking to solve problem X. Create a video with that person in mind. And then the next time you email them, say, hey, take a look at this YouTube video that I did on this exact topic, on this exact pain point that you're suffering from, and you might get some value out of it. And that way, the person, first of all, it's like a 10-minute meeting. They through a relationship, they get to know you. There's a trust build factor there.
Yeah.
Parasocial. Thank you. And as a result, you might close that deal. And you might get that, and then you do that 100 times, and then all of a sudden you have 100 people that have 100 videos, and then that turns into 1,000. And to your point, it's not about the numbers, it's not about the vanity. It's about changing one person's life at a time.
Yeah, and here's the thing, Xavier. It's also not about how often you go live, right? Because I could lift a feather every day for 5 hours a day. It's not going to make my arm any stronger. Okay, what I see entrepreneurs doing is thinking it's about me, right? If I go live and I talk about my passion, and you get a lot of this passion talk, right? And I'm not against passion talk, but you got to talk about what the audience is passionate about. And you got to find a way to connect their passion to your passion, period. You know what I mean? If you're going live every single day to see what you can get, to see if you can grow your channel, to see, me, right? It's the me monster, right? You got to focus on them. And you got to know, what is going to turn your audience on. And here's the thing, people don't necessarily tell you the truth about it. And so you have to look at numbers, and you have to look at industry stats. You have to look at data. We have a process for this in our company, right? And through this process, you're going to find out you're going to make a perfect match between your audience and your content. And you're going to find that doing one video, my good friend Brian Johnson told me this, because I get mentored by people in the space as well. We were talking about this idea of multiple videos and multiple uploads, right? And his thought was this: look, you could upload 10 videos that you batch produced, and they're the most amazing videos, but he's saying about himself, I'll make one video and get more views on that one video than these smaller guys will do with 10. Why? Because he knows his audience and he knows what they want to talk about and to learn about, even if it's not his, quote unquote passion. And so, looking back at your 30 days, you got to look, man. And it's almost like too much data, Xavier. It's like you got to go back and look at your 30 days. And here's what you're going to find. You're going to find that you went live during Christmas. You went live during New Year's. You went live on topic A, but topic A was trending 2 months ago. And like there's, and even when you do, maybe you'll see one that did really, really well. Why did it do well? Right? And where did it do well? Did it do well on impressions, on views, on comments, right? There's all of these different things. And I would rather that you do one video, see how it does, and make one change. All right, next video, I'm going to do no intro, and I'm just going to dive into it, right? And then see how that does. Did you get the same result, right? Or did you get a different result? If you got a better result, great. Yeah, I'm working with a client right now who is an MMA broadcaster. And so she gets all of these behind the scenes, interviews with MMA boxers and bare knuckle fighters. And it's really a great program. Her handle is Must Love MMA, all on the web. And so I'm working with her on her channel, and I say, you're uploading these videos that are like behind the scenes, like post fight interviews. And that's okay, but the fight's already over, right? Let's work on content that's a little bit more evergreen and it's a little bit longer, right? And what we saw was a 300% increase in her view counts when following that model. And here's the thing: she didn't follow it perfectly, right? She did the best she could. She hit like 60% of what I wanted her to do. But even that 60% got her a 300% increase. And it came from making, one small change. So, slow down, I would say. Slow your roll on the 30 days. Do maybe like one, check your results, make a change, go live again, and see how that affects your view counts.
Voice is a big one. How do I express myself? How do I communicate myself? Do I become the mentor? Do I become the preachy guy, the hustle porn guy, the perspective gal? Like, what is the voice that people can find? I know my sort of journey on this, where at one point I started to get into this preachy thing where it's like, you got to do this and you got to do that. And I felt like what I was doing in that capacity was not really providing empathy or compassion. I was kind of regurgitating a lot of the stuff that I was seeing on the internet. And it wasn't me. It wasn't my voice.
Yeah.
I didn't really connect to it. And it's very easy to do. It's very easy to start just blasting someone with advice and telling you got to do this and you got to get up at 5 a.m. and go do whatever. What I realize is that I feel most comfortable, and I think people potentially find the most value when I'm just simply providing my perspective on things. Mm-hmm. And it's like, you can take it, you can leave it. Mistakes are happening constantly. There's failures, which we lean into. That's how we learn. How can someone go through the journey to find that voice that feels comfortable, that also resonates with other people, and most importantly, connect with the audience?
Yeah, I've struggled with this, right? Am I the teacher? Am I the preacher? And part of that is trial and error. And I think that as entrepreneurs, business owners, we want to do it all correctly, right? Like, we want to have the product, working before we launch it. We want to have the website looking fresh before we promote it. And video sort of breaks all the rules, right? Especially video on YouTube, which is specifically what we're talking about. With video on YouTube, you've got to sort of experiment and make experimentation part of your process, right? So, for example, I've got curtains and lights and a TV back here with digital looping graphics and all sorts of great stuff. But one of the questions we have to ask ourselves is, are we overproduced? Right? Are we too digital? Are we too cool? Are we unrelatable because of that? And so we are going to and have been experimenting with different looks and different feels. Now, don't get me wrong, I do my videos a certain way. Okay. I do them a certain way, and I do them that way every single time while leaving room for experimentation so that we can see if we get a slightly different result. And that's what I would challenge, like you just gave a bunch of hypotheses, right? So, you do your videos in a way that is most natural to you. And that's your format. That's what you do. Making room to adjust according to your analytics on a weekly basis. Now, the second part of that is, let's just say the third video of every month, you're going to try something completely out of whack and different. You know, maybe you'll do one with voiceover and not your face and see how it does. Right? Maybe you're going to do one with let's just say a guest expert, right? And you're going to interview somebody. You're going to try that. You've got to kind of keep trying things to see what's going to resonate with your audience, and experimentation should be built into your model, right? And that's what I would say is you're going to find your voice. Sometimes, you're going to find that your audience really likes when you talk about X, but X does not inspire you. This is true for me, right? I did a couple of videos on SEO and keyword research, and they went through the roof, 250,000 views. And it's like, dang, I don't want to be that guy. I don't want to be the SEO guy, right? But I also learned, like, now I could have easily been like, that's it. I'm going to talk about SEO and WordPress from now on. And I probably could have done that and built a solid channel on it, but you could see how that pigeonholes me. It's not who I am, right, as a person. And so, you have to be willing, right? I'm a churchgoer. We have this expression in the church community. It's like the God of worst case scenarios. So, as Christians, we talk a lot about trusting God, right? And so this whole idea of like, oh, I'm scared to trust God because he's going to send me to Haiti, to build, wells for orphans, and it's like, I don't want to do that, right? And it's kind of the same idea here. It's like, well, I don't want to let my audience, my analytics tell me what to do, because what if they tell me to do something that I don't want to do? Well, at the end of the day, you're in full control. You might hit a well of oil that you don't want to go back to, and you do, well, that worked, but it kind of tells you I'm building the wrong audience, right? That's not the audience I want to build, and so you're back to the drawing board, right? You just keep going until you find that next thing.
Yeah, nice. So where can folks find you?
I'm everywhere on the web at Owen Video. Website is thevideomarketingschool.com. You can also go to owenvideo.com and check me out. We have 2 very successful Facebook Live shows that broadcast each week on Facebook. We get hundreds of live viewers on those shows, thousands of views every single week. And I also build YouTube channels, as a business. So I often tell people, I'm not the star quarterback, I'm the coach. Right? So we've built channels for chiropractors. We've built channels for real estate agents. We've helped our customers go from, 16 views a week to hundreds of thousands of views in a short period of time. And sometimes we're using fancy cameras. Sometimes we're using iPhones. But if you're on the web and you want to learn more about us, check me out at Owen Video on Instagram, LinkedIn, YouTube, of course, and follow us there. And if you'd like to learn how to take your brand and become the celebrity in your industry, well, then send us an email, info@thevideospot.net, and we'd be happy to learn more about what you're doing.
Got it. And sort of a final question as we wrap at the hour here. So how can we incorporate a video cadence, kind of like a workout, into our day? Let's just say 30 minutes per day.
Yeah, it's a great question. I think per day is a bit much at first, right? Like, it's kind of like that gym mentality. I'm going to go to the gym. I'm going to eat lean chicken. I'm going to eat avocados and blah, 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 right? It's too much, and you fail, and you're eating ho-hos on the couch watching episodes of Married with Children by Wednesday, right? You got to set yourself up for success. So what we recommend is scheduling 2 hours a week in your calendar in the morning when you're already in a creative mode. So some people say, oh, and I'm most creative at 2 a.m., go with that, but I would challenge you there, because there's no successful multimillionaire billionaire is ever like, I did my best work at 2 a.m. Right? That is how we start, but it's not how we finish. Right? So, I changed my schedule from being a night owl to being an early morning person, and that has been, incredibly successful for me. So I would pick 2 hours in the morning, say Wednesday morning from 8 to 10, you're working on YouTube stuff. and you're not doing Facebook Live stuff, and you're not doing Instagram Live stuff, you're doing YouTube stuff 2 hours a week. That's it. Now, as you want to do more, right? As YouTube starts to become a big part of what you want to do, then you'll add more time into the week. But just 2 hours a week on Wednesday, get familiar, go to YouTube, watch videos, watch channels, comment, do live streams. I mean, watch other people's live streams and start to develop your YouTube muscle. And when you do that, you're going to start to see big changes occur up here, which will, turn into big changes out there.
Nice. Yeah, I kind of have this model. It's called the piggyback model, if you will, and it's kind of to your point. It's about starting in the comments, and it's starting with the micro posts, and not necessarily going front and center directly on YouTube if you're not ready.
Yeah.
We built tech for this. I mean, with the Dubb Chrome extension, you can shoot a video, throw it into a LinkedIn post, and just as a comment, instantly.
Killer.
It's a one-click situation. Gmail integration, one click, send someone a video, takes 30 seconds, start there. And then when you find your voice and you get in your cadence, and you're not watching those episodes of Married with Children on that Wednesday at 2 in the morning, and you're shooting video at 8 in the morning when you're on your game, that's when you can get into your flow. It takes a while though.
Yeah, it does. And it's okay to give yourself that time, right? Because, again, no Olympian was ever like, oh yeah, I became an Olympian at 2 in the morning, half-assing it. It's hard work. And that's why success on YouTube is reserved for the elite, right? Like if you want success on YouTube, then you're saying, I want to be an Olympian, and it's going to take work, but that work, once done, will pay off dividends for years. I have videos I did 6 years ago that are still generating leads for my company, right? So put the work in if it's for you. If it's not for you, if it sounds too hard, it's okay. It's not for you, right? That's all right. But for those, I'm speaking to those that are like, yes, I want that. I'm a champion. Then go after YouTube, because your time there is going to pay off way more than time on Instagram, Facebook, or LinkedIn.
Yeah, no, it's the truth. I mean, I think we're living in an era where the celebrities, the A-listers, the most successful people, they're kind of on YouTube. There's no more. As far as I'm concerned, the day of the A-lister is kind of done. Like it doesn't happen anymore from a monetary perspective. Exactly. We now with this little device that we have, we can start and we can be who we want to be. It's just about making the choice.
That's right.
Owen Video, listen, I really appreciate your time, man. Thank you so much, man. We got to connect and collab in some capacity.
Would love to. Yeah, thanks for having me on the show. I had a great time.
All right, brother. Talk to you soon, man.
Take care.